Who cares? Do you think addiction is something that inherently controls you? Okay. This is the only thing that I would ask you to consider when you're thinking about things like mental illness or addiction. This is the only thing I would say, okay? I'm not going to give you the answer to this because I don't have the answer. I don't know the answer. But one thing that we do is we have our brain, and extracted from our brain, we have like our essence, our souls, our spirits, something. We have something else here. And mentally, we separate out like our biology from our who we truly are inside. And I think this is a mistake. Your conscious, your soul, your spirit, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, okay, is an emergent phenomenon. It's something that comes out of the interaction of a bunch of smaller things that collectively we call your brain. That's what I think, okay? All of these little things together interact, and in all of their little interactions, from these interactions arise your conscious state, right? This emergent thing, okay? When you ask a question like, does addiction control you? Or can you ignore, or, you know, can you fight your depression or whatever? I think that a fundamental, like an ontological mistake is being made because you're assuming that there is this huge barrier between your conscious experience and who you are and the decisions and choices you make versus like this fucking annoying brain thing that just gets in the way sometimes. These two things are one and the same, and they go together. I think it's important to keep that in mind. So when you talk about like, can addiction control you? Like, addiction is you. You are, that is part of who you are, right? Depression or BPD or addiction, this is part of who you are. So the question is like, can you adopt lifestyle choices or change the way that you live in your life or change your environment such that these facets of your character or personality, you know, don't end up controlling you or don't end up being the overriding parts of your life? I think that's the question, rather than like seeing these things as fundamentally separate in nature and disconnected from your abstracted like conscious experience. I would say, yeah, just like a thing I would say, yeah. How do you reconcile your hate for religion with your belief in a soul? I don't think I believe in a soul. Do you think you'd be less susceptible to addiction considering that your life isn't a miserable hellscape? Isn't it just a function of your happiness? If I had to guess, I would guess that addiction is probably three things. One is going to be some biological predisposition. I think some people are just biologically more likely to get addicted to things. I think a second thing is going to be how good your life is going. This is a total bullshit thing I've made up that I've talked about before. There's absolutely no evidence for this whatsoever, just a feeling that I have. But when I do MDMA, or if I were to do like if I were to drink like hydrocodone or like inject like heroin or whatever, my experience is going to go like, if my experience is like, if I'm this happy normally, I'm going to go up to like this level of happiness. And it's going to be awesome, okay? It's going to be relaxed, it's going to be chill, it's going to be cool, whatever the fuck. For opiates, right? Yeah, so chill, so euphoric, so cool. And then when I'm not high anymore, I'm going to come back down to here, right? Temptation to re-up, temptation to revisit the high is strong, of course. But if your life kind of sucks, if you're down here and then you do a drug, you're getting to the same fucking high. Those people in like the alleyways that are shooting up, they've got the same amazing fucking feelings that Jeff Bezos has shooting up, right? And when they are no longer high, they go all the way down to being here again. That sucks. So I think you've got biological predisposition. I think you've got, I think the biological predisposition one, I think that's borne out in data. Like, I think alcoholism is considered a hereditary thing. I believe. Let me look. Alcoholism, heritability, I believe. There was no evidence for heterogeneity by study design, sex, or assessment method. The best fit estimate of the heritability of AUD was 0.49, and the proportion of shared environmental variance was 0.10. Estimates being, what is considered a high heritability for, this is 0.49. I think that's decently high, though. Alcohol use disorder is approximately 50% heritable. Multiple genetically informative studies of this syndrome have produced consistent results that support the validity of this heritability estimate, especially given the different potential methodological weaknesses of twin and adoption studies. Okay. So heritability, how much your life normally sucks. And then also, this is something I'm a huge advocate for. I've talked about this a lot recently as well. if when you do drugs should be a thing you do to have fun, not a thing to escape from problems. I think that if you ever do a drug to escape from a problem, I think that you can fall into that habit very quickly, and that's a very scary thing to do. Yeah. I think there's also probably a fourth or fifth thing. Another thing, I don't even consider this much because I'm so busy. There's a saying that our moms used to tell us, which is "Go outside, honey. I need to fuck Destiny." No, I'm just kidding. Devils are an idle's hands. Idle's hands are a devil's plaything or something. I think that if you're sitting around and you're not doing much, you don't have much going on. I think that it's also easier to fall into bad habits like that. If you're not like working on something, or you have like a hobby or even games you play or anything that's like gives you something to fill your time with, if you're sitting around with nothing to do a lot, drugs are also like, because drugs are always awesome. Even if you're bored with nothing to do, like you can do drugs and sit in your house all day and have an awesome time, you know? Yeah. Jesus. Oh my God. Okay. Don't need this. Don't need this. Oh my God. One thing I never understood, why don't a lot more people OD intentionally if their life sucks so much? Well, because committing suicide is different than getting high. What do you mean? Asking the tough questions. I am. What makes you think that consciousness arises from a combination of chemicals? I never ever seen another satisfactory explanation ever. And it seems to map on just so cleanly. Are